Hey, we got a lot to talk about, let's get it. Don't this look familiar? Feel like 2010, my indecision is still clear. Caught inside the blizzard, they throw you out of the building. Cash me blowing up at 2 million. They ask, does this look familiar? This look familiar. Y'all say it changed, but I say it's still there. This look familiar. This look familiar. Y'all kiss the ring, the stage just might kill you. Go! Civil War type beat. Texas at the border with razor wire like fight me. Everybody beef when we keepin' this kitchen spicy. Bad faith arguments, dirt bag versus hype beats. Jesus told me put my money into crypto. Spending on a ski trip, where did all my shit go? Bipping out in Oakland till that double shift close. Fucking nomination, we know everybody grips those. Ask Greta and Margot. Pull them out the club or drop your single and get exposed. Crying off a river, you see Britney in the top 4. Looking at a Boeing like a motherfucking death note. Gassing up the sentences like Alabama death row. Oh my god, they just hit Taylor with the deep fake. Oh my god, now Nikki Haley is the deep state? Oh shit, back up with the oldest. Looking just a little bit deficient if you check in at the polling. Yeah, charges hitting these princes who constantly bitching with cases from the gates to the Vinces. Get fucked in the business like Katie trying to grift like the victim. Receipts getting printed. The Stallion versus Barbs with the hisses. And fuck is this shit from McDonald and Shapiro on cringing who made the decision. Like Dennis Prager, fuck riffraff. Cancer got a new patch. Charlie on a plane huffing air into a small bag. The pilot flying is black. Oh yeah, Eisner to Iger like first time. Layoffs everywhere on my timeline. While profits are sky high. But grifters looking scared of their own lie. Had to check around and I know why. All your deals are getting forfeit. 2020 forfeit. Like we ain't dropping genocide charges on BB warship. Honestly, I just want connections with the real ones. I just see the crashes. This look familiar. This look familiar. This look familiar. Walk out the court and lose 80 million. This look familiar. This look familiar. 2024 and Benzino still shit. Oh! Too soon! Oh my god! What happened, Coy? Come get your dad! Really quickly, I fucked up. I recorded 25 minutes of a breakdown and then realized today there's stories that I missed. So I have to split this up into an extra episode of breakdown. So I'm letting you know that in advance. And yeah. Also, hey, ADHD is fun. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching Freestyle the News. If you like what you heard, please knock that big ass robotic like button into the air, juggling it for 3 to 4 seconds with your coffee maiden who also likes to dance and dodge everything people throw at her. And then as you're juggling that enormous robotic like button in the air, you realize that it's controlled by the #1 ranked player in North America who for some reason keeps bitching about you on stream and then rage quits because he's not really about that fucking life. And then your game rage quits too. And then leave a comment on your favorite bar. First off, Tekken 8 is great. No hate to Joe, but no, honestly, Joe, you know better. You know better. Why you pulling the plug like that, bro? Why are you being shitty to her? She just likes playing this game. You know better. Thankfully, this player apologized because it started to make fucking news. But yeah, Tekken 8 is great. I suck. Please fix the matchmaking. We have a lot to talk about today. I mean, a lot to talk about. Let's just jump into this breakdown real quickly. And man, oh man, did this week have some impact to it. When I said this looks familiar in the song, I did mean it. But what is unique to this year is how early the tone and the vibe have been set for the preceding months. Because man, there was so much shit that happened this week, from election news to entertainment news and snubs to it's so much to get into. Even some stories you may not have heard of. And let's just start with the tech industry and the massive amount of layoffs we've seen over this last week. In another devastating and absolutely infuriating cut, Microsoft nixed about 1,900 jobs a very short time after their acquisition of Activision Blizzard. This comes with the head of Activision Blizzard leaving the company, as well as tons of people across Activision Blizzard and on the Xbox teams, with Phil Spencer issuing a statement: as we move forward in 2024, the leadership of Microsoft Gaming and Activision Blizzard is committed to aligning on a strategy and execution plan with a sustainable cost structure that will support the whole of our growing business. As part of this process, we have made the painful decision to reduce the size of our gaming workforce by about 1,900. You know what? Fuck this. This comes only a few days after Riot laid off about 530 of their own employees, albeit their message felt a little bit more sincere, but that doesn't really matter. People are still losing their jobs. Not only that, there's been severe layoffs at multiple media companies across the spectrum, and there's been signals that Google and many other major tech companies are going to experience more layoffs later this year. Let's take aside the fact that, hey, we're not doing well and we have to do this and we hate this and we're going to try to help you find something else. So many of these layoffs feel so sus and frustrating, and they come at a time when a lot of people are scared about their jobs being replaced through AI. I cannot stress how infuriating it is and how bad it is for these companies to do that. Look, there are a lot of emotions tied up in all of this. I have a lot of friends who feel like this is bullshit who work for those companies. I kind of feel it's bullshit if you are laying people off to bump up your stock price when you can keep them on. That feels so short-sighted. I'm not a fucking callous CEO though, so I don't fucking know. Just from what I've seen internally, that really kind of fucks up a business a little bit. But one thing that's interesting to me, and someone said on Twitter, was that middle management and how a lot of the middle management is not losing their jobs. And what makes you feel like the middle management is going to be able to hire or fill the jobs adequately when they don't really understand the ins and outs of what they're filling? And that hit me because I have worked in multiple jobs where the people who are higher up above me don't actually know what the fuck is going on. I suffer the repercussions of their inadequacy. And it makes me feel like a lot of these job losses and job cuts where people are wanting to replace people with AI or people are wanting to find a cheaper way to do something, it's going to be short term, bite these companies in the ass, and they're gonna have to go and hire somebody else. And I know because there are companies that I have left where months later they're trying to rehire for my role and they're fucking up again. So I will say this to people who have lost their job: absolutely, it is devastating. It is not your fault. A lot of these people are looking at a balance sheet and not who you are as a person. Your worth in the company is not whether or not they keep you on. Your worth is what you have done and what you have accomplished. As infuriating as it is to be left out on your own so suddenly, this is a chapter of your life you do get through, and I understand it feels like you won't. I have been there, but you will get through it. I do believe in you. It'll come close sometimes, but you got this because you didn't lose value. They did. Fucking greedy assholes. Anyway, if you lost your job and are affected by those layoffs, please post in the comments what you do. If people have any opportunities you can direct these people towards, please do so. Or if you've been the victim of your corporate overlords nixing some of your staff, let me know in the comments how that feels. What happened? Just tell us about it. I think the best way is to have a dialogue about this because the impact it has on people's lives is significant. I'll also leave some resources in the description in case you need to find something. I believe in you. You got this. And let's get to some uplifting news, because if you want some news about somebody getting fired from their job for some bullshit and then coming back to what they love to do in the first place to prove all these motherfuckers wrong, guess who's back, baby? Jon Stewart is returning to The Daily Show after so many. I have missed you, bro. After a large stint on The Problem with Jon Stewart, which was written off in its first season, but went on to have significant impact with hard-hitting interviews, really interesting panel segments, and a few moments where Jon was, you know, his regular old, yo, fuck yourself, and a pretty cool podcast. The podcast is actually really, really nice. Jon Stewart is coming back to the show, which just has not understood what permanent host means yet. It feels like it's just been all over the place. They've had so many rotating hosts, some good, some bad. I know I speak for a lot of people when Hasan Minhaj did an amazing job, and so did Roy Wood Jr. And for some reason, Comedy Central's like, but Jon is coming back to host Monday nights and executive produce through the 2024 campaign season. Oh my God. It's just like, I cannot. And look, Trevor Noah was amazing, and he has his own style, and he has a lot of ideas. What I liked about Stewart was specifically his criticism of how the media ecosystem works, and that's what we need. Our entire media ecosystem is so fucked up. This also kind of feels like a move for Stewart to kind of fix what is a very out of control ship with The Daily Show. That show hasn't really found its footing since Noah left. And if you look online, the reactions are jubilation. It's like the fucking rebels just blew up the Death Star. But I do want to also point out, a day or two later, there was like 4 or 5 think pieces that came out about like, actually, this is terrible. With Meghan McCain saying like, I can't stand the woke creature that Jon Stewart has become. What the fuck are you talking about? Listen, Megan, first off, Stewart has been talking shit since he left The Daily Show. You, who had like a 5-alarm fire on The View over the smallest fucking thing, are telling me about, oh, woke sensitivity. Shut the fuck up, Megan. And as well, all the other think pieces, I don't know if he's gonna do well. Maybe he'll bomb. Maybe, yes, Comedy Central's all over the place. But I'm not gonna lie, as much as it's important to have a really strong press, there's a lot of people here who like to smell their own farts. And I'm really tired of the hot takes, and I am looking forward to Stewart talking that shit, because he's the reason I get to do what I do. Because this show and the way and the viewpoint we have was inspired largely by watching The Daily Show growing up. So I'm excited for it. And fuck Meghan McCain. You're a fucking idiot, and so is your husband. Fuck both of you. All right, now let's move on to the United States versus Texas. This story has to be one of the biggest stories of this week. It kind of snuck up on everybody, but not really. Let's just talk about it. So if you haven't heard, the Biden administration and Texas are kind of in a little bit of a standoff, because Texas has been really impeding on the Border Patrol's ability to deal with the border. Texas has installed like razor wire and other structures in between the Texas-Mexico border, and that has just escalated tensions more and more and more, up until the point where it's now reached the Supreme Court, and in a 5-4 ruling, the Supreme Court said, hey, Border Patrol can rip that razor wire out. It's got to go. With Greg Abbott having to go through the steps and finally work with the Biden administration. I'm just fucking kidding. He didn't do shit. Abbott is actually standing his ground, saying that actually the Constitution says that he can install razor wire there, despite what the Supreme Court says. And if you're thinking, hey, wait a minute, I took a class when I was growing up about how government works, and this seems like that's not how it works, you would be correct. The Supreme Court is literally there to define the Constitution for us. It's fucking stupid that they get to. Many people complain about it all the fucking time, but them's the breaks. And guess what? They said you can't have razor wire, but Abbott doesn't give a fuck. And obviously, this has made things really, really bad. With the standoff and the tension between the federal government and Texas getting worse and worse and worse, people talking about, oh, is Texas gonna secede? You had a whole, like a bunch of Republican governors issue statements supporting Texas, which, by the way, is fucking stupid. I understand, like, the politics of culture war bullshit. This is not culture war bullshit. You are encouraging the worst thing that you do not, nobody like reasonable wants a civil war. It's a whole fucking mess. And I understand like the loophole of like, hey, the state has a right to protect itself. I get your argument, but it doesn't work, because the whole fucking reason we have a Supreme Court is this. Oh my God. If that's the case, Abbott, let abortions happen in your state. It's not even a left versus right thing. 2 Republicans on the Supreme Court are ruling against you. Bro. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see how this shakes out. It is absolutely wild though. Let me know what you think in the comments. And all of a sudden it feels like that Civil War series with Nick Offerman feels a little bit more closer to reality. Hi, it's me after realizing my fuck up. Let's jump into Meg Thee Stallion versus Nicki Minaj. Now, obviously, everybody knows who Meg Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj are. 2 superstar female rap artists. They've changed the game in so many ways. But in a week filled with just weird, contentious beefs like Eminem and Benzino popping up again, you knew things were gonna get crazy when Meg Thee Stallion dropped Hiss. Hiss is Meg's newest single, and it is a crazy diss song. The song takes a lot of shots at a lot of people who have criticized Megan in the past, a lot of controversies that she's been in, like shit with Tory Lanez, and at, of course, Nicki Minaj. Now, if you don't know a little bit of the backstory about Nicki Minaj tends to get in a lot of beefs, specifically with any other rapper who is female. Nicki just starts a lot of shit that way. She's had fights with Cardi B, Remy Ma, the latter of which dropped Cheether, and Nicki had to kind of fucking get a Beyonce shouting her out to get that off her back. And now Meg Thee Stallion, and the disses that this record brings up are brutal. Meg goes directly for Nicki's partner for his misconduct of committing grape, with bars like, these hoes don't be mad at Megan, these hoes be mad at Megan's law. I don't know what the problem is, but I guarantee y'all don't want me to start. There's a lot of other shit there. And Nicki was immediately pissed. taking an Instagram live, playing a snippet of her own diss song towards Megan, and then just going on a tirade for the rest of the day all over X, saying, oh, you got shot in the fucking foot, saying that Meg can't even rap on beat, making fun of her, accusing her of lying and telling Nicki to drink while she was pregnant. And look, listen, there's probably even more things that Nicki has said in the interim of me even recording this. She's just been going off on X, but I will say this, it's not doing her well. Again, like I said, Nicki Minaj has a habit of picking with a lot of other female rappers because they're in her lane, and she's been accused of being very aggressive to people who don't like immediately like kiss her ring and everything like that, specifically Cardi B saying that. And when it comes to rap beef, Nicki doesn't really have a winning record here. After the tension with Cardi B took over the zeitgeist. After the tension with Remy Ma and Shether, Remy Ma's career was resurrected by how bad she bodied Nicki. And these allegations against Kenneth Perry, Nicki's husband, have resurfaced with Hiss. I don't think this is going to be the end of Nicki's career, though. I think obviously she's going to survive this because she's Nicki Minaj. She makes really, really good music, and that's why people like her. Again, talented MC, easily one of the greatest female rappers of all time. But this stuff is not a good look, especially in the age of the internet where, you know, when you make public mistakes, they stay public mistakes. And the higher your notoriety, the bigger a target you are to hit. But we'll have to wait and see. Nicki's being torn up over TikTok. Let me know what you think in the comments of who you're siding with, Nicki or Megan. And last but not least, let's talk about Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, and New Hampshire. I don't need to tell you, Donald Trump is the Republican nominee. Earlier this week, as predicted, Donald Trump beat Nikki Haley in the New Hampshire primary, 53 to 43%. Also, Ron DeSantis dropped out of the race and endorsed Trump like the fucking coward he is. And look, while there were a lot of big stories this week, this was probably the most interesting story this week because it didn't actually go as expected. Donald Trump won the primary, but he didn't trounce Haley. And when people started to see the data, a large amount of information started to come out that, hey, Donald Trump isn't doing very good with independent voters.
It's actually a fairly good night for Joe Biden. When you look at our voter analysis, only 10% said, I would not vote for Joe Biden if he's the nominee. He won a plurality of voters who said he was too old. He won a majority of voters who are upset about the Gaza war. So the divides in the Democrat Party, and this is a small sample size, but perhaps aren't as stark as one would think. But when you look at the Republican Party, 7 in 10 Nikki Haley voters said, I would not vote for Trump. There was the Des Moines Register poll, 43% said, no, I wouldn't vote for Trump.
That's Kayleigh McEnany, Trump's former press secretary, and actually, fun fact, if you look up the word condescension in a dictionary, her picture is like right there. And this is different for Kayleigh because she's usually kissed the ring of Donald Trump so many times. And here she actually had some dire news for him about his success with independents. And honestly, again, it makes sense. There is so much data about Trump's unpopularity in general. It seemed kind of weird that, oh, okay, he's just gonna be this rising phoenix out of the fucking insurrection pool. You had a lot of voters in that primary saying that they would not by any means vote for Donald Trump if he were the nominee. Does this mean that the polls are wrong and everything's different? No. It's very clear that Americans are unhappy with their choices, including Donald Trump of his former press secretary, because he went off on her about that. But this is really interesting because, again, it's fucking January. Already in this month, we went through a news cycle of, oh, Biden is fucked. Oh, Biden's doing better. Oh, Trump actually may not have the support he needs. Oh, also Biden's kind of fucked. We've went through a lot. And honestly, I will say, a lot of that is kind of the media's fault. Isn't it? This happens every election season where the media sees one patina of something and runs with it for a week, having seismic impact on people's opinions of what the race is or isn't. It's hard to really discern. Here's what I will say. I think it's very interesting that Donald Trump has problems with independence. That makes a lot of sense. I do still think that Biden is not in the best position he can possibly be. He's also old as fuck. And I still think these are two very unpopular candidates. I am also happy that we are having frank discussions about this early on in January than having it all crammed in to November. It's exhausting, but at least we have a little bit of a runway to stretch ourselves out. I advise everybody, again, watch Ole's guide about voting. Keep yourself sharp, but we got to stay vigilant. We got to keep our eye on the ball. But it feels like we're going to know a lot more sooner rather than later. And one of those sooners has to pay $83 million to E Jean Carrol. That's my show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Oh my God, that was a long one. Leave a comment about your favorite bar and subscribe if you like the show. Check out last week's episode. And my name is Tabani, and I'll see y'all soon. Let's go.